Mike Reed. Just real quick, Mike was born and raised in Mays County. He is the father of three daughters and one son. He has 25 years in law enforcement in Mays County and another 10 years for Wildlife Services Division of Oklahoma. And he has served as the Mays County Sheriff since January of 2013. So with that said, would everyone please give a very warm welcome to our Sheriff, Mike Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir. You want the mic?
No, I don't need a mic. This is my under Sheriff, Tim Thompson. I'm sure a lot of y'all from prior know him. We do this just a little bit different. Anybody that's ever met me, I'm not a politician. I'm not one of those stand up there and blow and go and put feathers in my hat. I'm not going to get up here and talk for 10 or 15 minutes telling you I did this, I did that. I'm not going to do that. You don't want to hear that anyway. I never do when I'm sitting out there. But I'm sure somebody here, somebody's have questions specific. I'll tell you ahead of time when you do it like this, somebody's usually arguing, somebody's usually trying to throw you under the bus. And I'll tell you ahead of time, I'm not gonna stand up there and argue with you. If we've done something wrong, I'll fix it. Come up to the office, we'll sit down and I'll do my best to fix it. But as far as anything else, when you open yourself up like this, people just, oh, it's a good time to throw a rock. So let's just talk and try to figure out if there's something we need to address or something we need to look at. Let's talk about it. I'd rather do that and try to answer your questions personally, face to face, than just me get up here and do this. So, who's first? Yes, sir.
I have two questions.
We'll do one at a time because I'm slow.
The first one is, what is your position on the surveillance of citizens of Mays County, especially the innocent?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Specifically, these cameras that they're wanting to use in places in our county to be able to catch the bad guys, so to speak. And yes, they may be effective, but so would be throwing search warrants out as well. They capture data, they record data, they share data, even by, and I'm specifically referring to flock. They actually, in section 4.2 of their agreement, talk about being able to share the information that they gather on us with foreign entities. I just want to know where you stand on that kind of civil liberties violations, in my opinion.
Well, if there's a civil liberties violation, then it's obvious that I don't support a civil liberties violation at all. I don't, the flock stuff, I don't have none of it. I haven't went out for any of the grants. I have 100,000 other things that I have to focus on. Locust Grove has them, Pryor's been talking about them. It's not on my radar. I'm not doing that. I don't perceive doing that in the future. If I have to do that, or, it comes up, there's a bunch of stolen cars here or whatever, but as of now, I'm not even remotely looking at it. So that would be something you probably ought to talk to somebody who's going, I want to do this, because I'm not interested in doing it.
Okay. My second question or comment is this. I'm a city councilman and I'm also the OK2A county.
City councilman for who?
Prior.
Okay.
There's been a few times that I've had constituents come to me with a question and they said, I've called the sheriff's office, no response. I have called on more than one occasion and addressed and said, hey, this is who I am. And I don't think I'm all that important. I really don't. But my concern is when a city councilman, OK2A county coordinator calls and says, hey, we'd like to talk to the sheriff, and others come to me and they are sharing the same information about something that's very important, and there's never a call back. And this happened multiple times to me, and as what others have told me, it's enough that it's a problem. Are you aware of this?
Aware that you have called
That
and
people
wanted me
have
to
been
call you
calling
back?
and you're not getting calls back?
Anybody that calls for me, I have a system set up, it goes to my personal assistant. She is very prompt at giving me them. If I have a message, I'll return it. Simple as that. You know where the sheriff's department is. If you evidently you live in Pryor, if you feel like I'm ignoring you, then I would say get in your vehicle and drive up there and go, I need to talk to the sheriff. What do I need to do to this? Because my phone, he won't return my phone calls, versus basically, again, throw yourself out in a situation like this basically kind of being a little bit confrontational, and that's not what this is for. But I return phone calls.
Well,
Period.
I've actually gone.
And whether
to
you
the-
haven't got your phone call, I don't know.
I've actually gone to the sheriff's office as well
Well-
and not gotten.
Okay, so what you're telling me is I won't talk to you, is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm saying somehow or other, I never got a call back, whether it was before it got to you or after, I don't know what happened. But
I don't either. I mean, if you want to come up, you can tomorrow, cause I'm busy. If you want to come up one day next week, I'll make time to sit and talk with you.
Okay,
Simple as that.
thank you.
I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, we ain't perfect, but I am very diligent about making my phone calls back. I have to be. So, if I've dropped the ball, I've dropped the ball. It's not intentionally. I don't know you from Adam. So, it sure wasn't intentional.
Okay.
So, come up next week. We'll set up an appointment. That's all I know to tell you. Good enough? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Kathy LaValle. I'm the director of Saving Whiskers and Tails in
Yeah.
town. I did actually come to throw you under the bus, but since I will honor your request not to do that. I will
You
tell.
go ahead. I've always been thrown under the bus, so go ahead.
No, you asked us not to, and I'll honor that. But I will tell you that I've made many attempts to talk with you over the years.
Yeah, Rod
Since
handles the-
2017. He's ineffective.
Rod's ineffective?
Yes, sir. I have 4 pages of just notes that I've taken since we started in 2017 of incidences that we were either totally ignored or citizens of Mays County were thrown in danger because of lack of response. And again, I'm not gonna belabor this, but I will have to, kind of agree with Chris here. I've made several attempts to talk to you, not Rod.
Oh, I know you have.
And I've been told that you won't talk with me.
You're right. You're right.
Okay. Can you tell me why?
Yeah, because I have Rod, who's a special person that deals with animal right, what all we're supposed to do with that.
I'm going
He
to,
handles
I'm
all
going
of
to give this to you to take back. Again, it's 4 pages of times, and it's available to anybody that wants it. I didn't print it out for everybody. I'll read, one statement quickly, and then I'll be quiet. And if I can't talk to you, if I'm not allowed to talk to you, I have to talk to Rod, then I will make every effort to campaign against you because it's wrong. He's not handling animal issues in this county. And, animals are dying because of it, and it's putting people in danger. So let me just read you a statement. This is not my statement. It comes from Dana Gray, and she is a professor with RSU. She is with Oklahoma Alliance for Animals. And I call them a lot because I don't have any support. I don't have any law enforcement support. So
That,
I work with.
from anybody?
Huh?
From anybody?
From Mays County. So this is Dana's statement. Under the leadership of Mike Reed, the Mays County Sheriff's Office has repeatedly failed to fulfill their legal obligations to enforce and uphold state laws against cruelty, neglect, and abandonment of animals. Free quality federal level training and continuing education credits have been offered repeatedly to law enforcement through FBI, HAUS, which is, I just lost it, Humane Society US, and the OAA, Oklahoma Alliance for Animals. Lack of training is not an excuse. The link between animal cruelty and felony crimes is well documented by the National Sheriff Association and other federal agencies. Law enforcement nationwide respond to animal welfare calls because they understand the connection to felony crime. Research documents that where animal cruelty exists, there are always other felony crimes, including child abuse, domestic abuse, elder abuse, drugs, and human trafficking. I'm going to leave this with you if you want to take it. These are just a few incidences that I've documented over the years. Rod has not responded to, and your officers have not responded to that I, again, feel like have put, oh, I know it's killed animals, but I feel like it's put people in danger, trying to go in without any law enforcement support and do something that they shouldn't be doing. But again, when an animal's at risk, I think people take action. So, thank you for listening.
First of all, I'm an animal person.
Okay.
I have 3 dogs at the house. I've trained dogs and raised dogs my whole career. I've had track dogs, I've had patrol dogs, I've had hunting dogs, I have dogs at the house. I got a dog at the house right now that most people have probably seen on Facebook that I spend so much time with and train. I can get him to do just about anything. So I am a dog lover and a dog person, and why are you shaking your head no?
Sir, with all respect, that doesn't have anything to do with
Actually,
dogs
it
that are
does.
chained down at the river.
Okay.
You know, it doesn't, it's not apples
Kathy,
and
it ain't
oranges.
the first time that, you know, we went around this warrant. I will look you and anybody in the eye, and I can prove it with the case files that we keep. Nobody's gonna call in with an animal that's being treated and somebody's not gonna go respond.
Read my documentation, sir.
I'll read it, but ma'am, I have the
appreciate it.
documentation too.
Well, I'd
And I
like to see
make
it.
sure that you're more than welcome to come up and look at it. You are.
Can you tell me how many animal abuse charges have been filed in Mays County?
Not off the top of my head, no ma'am. I
Can-
can't, but
can
I
you
can,
tell me if there
I
was
can go to
any?
the office this week,
Okay,
next week if you'd let me, because tomorrow's really messed up. And
Yeah,
I
I'd
can
like to
get you
count
the
that.
exact, since I took office, how many of those calls have come in and show you what officers responded to them and what action was taken.
sir,
Simple as that.
I've called and reported, and they've told me that it's not, this is a quote, and I can't prove it, but it's not illegal to shoot dogs in Mays County. That's what I was told.
There
I
is,
know it's not, but that's no reason to do it.
If your dog's coming after my livestock, it's a dead dog. It's
I-
plain simple.
well,
Nobody's talking about
let's,
your
again, let's
livestock. I'm talking
not
about-
get into an argument.
Yeah, well.
Ma'am,
it-
seriously, Kathy, if you'll come up and you wanna see that stuff, I'll be glad to show it to you.
You
take
or Mr.
probably Rod.
Yeah, I know.
If you
thank
wanna talk to me face to face
I
and you
do.
sit there with him, I'll be glad to do that.
Okay. I don't know what the deal is with Rod, but.
Rod's over that. I've seen the classes for that. That's his job. He's a major over investigations for that.
Okay, I really would like to see what classes he's been to and his credentials also, because
Okay.
we go to a lot of them, and we've never seen any representation from Mays County Sheriff's Office. So I will make contact next week. Thank you, sir.
And we do not ignore animal cruelty, period.
Okay,
So,
I
Yes, sir.
provided the document.
Yeah, whose responsibility is it to keep a dog off my property, mine or the dog owner's?
dog owner,
Then why do your deputies tell me it's my responsibility?
don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. What deputy, what took place, I don't know everything. I don't have a clue. What deputy told you that? When did it happen? I can go back and pull a report. If you can give me the date and time, and I can see exactly what was documented. I have it. But I can't just
Because,
pull that out of the air.
The officer that came up and took the report told me it was my responsibility, and his sergeant came out later and told me it was my responsibility to keep my neighbor's dogs off my property. When
I do not know the case, but if you will come up next week, tell me to show the time, I'll pull the case number, everything, and we'll read the report and see exactly what took place. But no, if I have a dog, and I do, I have 3, it's my responsibility to keep him from going over and killing his chickens. I mean, isn't that right?
I've called a couple times here, and they don't even come out anymore.
I don't believe that. Don't believe that for a minute. Not 1 minute. Every time you call that sheriff's department, it's recorded. If you have a date and time, you say you call and you made a report and they didn't come, bring that date and time and come up there and let's see. And I'll look you in the eye and say, you know what, you was right and I was wrong. That's why I have every call recorded. Phone calls, every line, everything documented to the T. Simple as that. Give me a date and a time and come up there.
Next week, I will come up to your office.
Get
with
your
the
date and time and come on.
paperwork And show you.
Okay? do me a favor, when you see that we came out, come back here and tell all these people that you came up there and looked at it, and you was wrong and I was right. Instead of sitting here throwing me under the bus.
Yeah.
Do that, cause I won't be back next week, cause I'll be at another place. But do that. Meet me in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty simple. Go ahead.
Sheriff, just got a question.
Yeah.
Here lately with our new police chief here in Pryor, he's been doing an ad in the local paper showing what his officers are doing.
Yep.
How many calls
Chief's
he's-
chat or something like that?
Yeah. Do you have any plans or something like that to open up transparency in your department so you can show Mr. Valley your animal calls and other calls that are there? That-
All that stuff's public record now. All of it is.
Right.
Where do you find it?
Would you be against doing something to that effect?
I'm not gonna probably take the time to put it on social media like he does. But anybody can come up there to the office and request a call sheet, and you can see, lots of times, the paper calls up there, and they get a report of it, and it's printed out and give to them, kinda like the jailbird stuff. Most of that stuff just is public record. He's taking the time, and he's putting it on social media, and that's fine. I'm taking my time and doing other things, and I'm not putting it on social media, every one of our calls. Our call volume is so much more than theirs, it ain't even funny. So I'm not gonna put, I'm just not gonna take that time and go, I'm gonna put it on, social media, every call we have. It's public record. Anybody can get it. I can't stop you from getting it. That's why I'm saying, all this stuff is documented. You don't have to believe me. Even the calls are recorded. Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any status on the mountain lion issue?
On what?
The mountain lion issue, it's been,
You'd have to call ODWC for that. I don't deal with mountain lions anymore. The only way I deal with them is if they're killing livestock or something like that, and I have to get involved.
within city limits, that's what we was.
Well, ma'am, honestly, that would be over the city.
Right.
If they have a mountain lion call and they call me, I'll come and do whatever I gotta do. But honestly, I'm probably the last person they're gonna call about a mountain lion anymore. Used to, but not anymore. So, but that would be ODWC. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Earlier this year, the ATF made some rule changes regarding pistol braces. There was something of a move among some sheriffs to declare their county a sanctuary for this in case, just they were not gonna cooperate with the federal authorities. Do you have a position on that?
I don't enforce federal laws. I'm not doing it. My guys ain't doing it.
Would your officers cooperate with federal authorities to enforce a warrant for a Mays County resident or something of that sort?
I have made I'll say, I didn't write it in policy procedure. I've talked to all my administration that anytime there is a federal warrant that comes to us, like we want, then it needs to come through me first, and I need to verify what it is. I'm not going to they're not just gonna start coming in here and serving these federal warrants to try to take our guns away. I got probably just as many as you, and the whole 9 yards. I'm not gonna
I hate
support
the
them all.
phrase, I'm not accusing anybody of coming to take guns away or something, but.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, there is a pathway towards that.
Absolutely.
And that's a step on that path, so
I know. My guy, we've had that conversation, at the office. That's nothing, again, I got stuff, if somebody steals your lawnmower, somebody breaks in a house, somebody mistreats their wife, or somebody mistreats whatever, those are the things I'm dealing with day in. I'm not interested in a doggone stock, some little bitty technicality that the federal government come up with, and I'm not using that to go out and try to arrest somebody. I have enough stuff that's real stuff that's hitting you at home personally, that I thought that's what you want me to do, not that hogwash.
Let me try to put a little finer tip on it, and I'll leave you alone after this.
Go right ahead, you got me. I don't know if they're all gonna get anything else done, but just get after it.
Let's just say that there was a warrant run for whatever crime.
What's that
And,
crime?
Pardon?
You're gonna have to,
Well, you tell me what crime it is. What would you guys issue a warrant, go out to arrest somebody for?
oh, I don't, homicide?
Okay, say it's a murder. Say it's a murder rap.
Okay.
Hopefully it's not my house.
Yeah.
And then there's a AR-15 pistol with a brace. Is that gonna be collected and logged, and we're gonna potentially, I guess, if it's murder, I probably shouldn't have accepted that.
You kinda set yourself in the corner there,
I did.
because that's where I'm going with that. If there's reason for me to do that, yes. Do I go out
If it
and
was a
get,
crime having nothing to do,
I'm not taking it.
Beg pardon?
That gun don't have nothing to do with the crime, I'm not taking it.
Okay.
Simple as that.
I think
I've
that's really the way
I've
I
had
should put it.
protective orders signed by a judge to go in on a simple domestic,
Yeah.
take these guns, and I went to the judge and said, it's not happening. That was not used as a threat, I have not jurisdiction at will, you can go at, no, I won't. Well, you gonna arrest me, judge? Well, no, technically, I said exactly right. I do not have grounds to do that, I'm not doing that. If it is used in this crime, threatened, or shot at, or whatever, that's different. Then I have to seize it and go from there as evidence type deal. But just as a blanket, absolutely not. I've already squared off with that, it's not happening.
Okay, well, I think that's a fair response.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff Reed, thanks. I'm a big supporter of individual freedom, which is why I identify with the more conservative party. Could you tell me, please, why you're a Democrat?
I'm not a Democrat, I'm a registered Republican. I've been a registered.
I can swear you the website says Democrat.
Take my word for it, he's not.
He's not, okay?
Not a Democrat.
I look at that and I think, that doesn't make sense.
Not a Democrat, Republican.
Thank you.
I don't know why in the heck the website is out there right now.
That gentleman right there, been wanting to talk a second.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. You're
Go
good.
right ahead. He's
Good
got a
evening.
list. He's ready.
Good evening. Thank you for coming tonight, Sheriff. A couple quick questions. What was your greatest achievement last year in the Sheriff's Department?
Last year?
Yes.
What do you think? Probably SROs.
Can you speak on that a little more?
Yes. One of the things that I've wanted to do, and this is one of the things in 2012 when I campaigned and talked to people, one of the things I wanted to implement that was not being implemented was school resource officers in the county. We have them in the city, but we've never been able to have money to get them in the county. It's a financial deal. I have pushed and pushed and pushed to get that money without shutting down, shortening our deputies, so I'm not shutting your response time and patrol time down. So finally, I got the money approved, because we're doing better. Mays County, as everybody knows, doing a lot better right now financially. This is the first year and a half I've had as much money to be able to do some of the goals that I've wanted to do. Since I started, that was a need I've seen. I've not been able to make it happen, but as of now, we have 4 school resource officers we managed to get funded, and that was last year started.
How many schools does that cover?
I got them in Shoto, I got them in Salina, I got them in Locust. I offered them to Adair, but they had their own, and then I take them also part-time, and I send them, I don't have them full-time, but I run them back and forth to Wycliffe and to Osage.
Okay.
Both, and to Maisie. Now they might have to do, might not spend a whole day there, but I busted up to where they're going to these little schools too. So that was probably the biggest goal I had that I wanted to do, was get people, because God forbid, some reason these idiots are shooting people and active shooting and stuff like that. I wanted to get that, and last year we got that trigger pulled, and I think that was probably the most important thing last year we accomplished.
Great. One more question, if you don't mind. What is the biggest issue facing Mays County residents, and how do you plan on addressing it?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's my responsibility.
What's that?
First of all, I don't think it's my responsibility.
Okay.
I think it's everybody's responsibility that's raising kids about that big and smaller. That's the problem. We quit raising our kids the way we're supposed to raise them. That's the problem. The problem isn't your sheriff, and the problem isn't whether you like me or you don't like me or whatever. That's not the problem out here. It's not drugs, it's home. We broke down the home years ago, and we're not raising kids to honor and respect their mother, their father, their teachers. That's the problem. Then you've got the justice system that comes in here that's a hogwash, because it is a justice system, now it's a legal system, because we are voting in a bunch of liberal Democrat people that let them just everything. They don't even know what bathroom to go to. If I offended you, I'm sorry. There's a man's and a woman's bathroom. Sorry if I offended you, but that's the way it is. That's my mindset. It starts at home. I can't fix it if you let them be heathens.
Okay, so being that you can't fix what's going on at home,
I can fix
obviously.
mine, at least to some degree.
Being that you can't fix what's going on in the homes of Mays County, what other issues are facing the residents of Mays County that you can address and you can work on?
I think everything stems from that. If they're thieves, it stems from that.
Okay.
If it's drugs, Either mom or dad was too selfish to be a mom or dad, so they wasn't at home. They was selfish and self-centered and running, and it's just, and again, I've trained dogs my whole life. If you take one, I can go get one out of a mutt out of the pound that's a Heinz 57. And if I spend time with that dog day in and day out, I can make a dog out of that. Or you can give me one that's a doggone purebred, and I don't spend the right amount of time with him, and he ain't worth a plug nickel. And that comes back, now granted, that's not everything, but as a whole, it's been my experience, father of 4. You gotta spend time, and you gotta start when they're little, and you can't be too afraid to bust their butt when they need it. You need to love them, and you need to bust their butt. You don't need to do it in anger, but you gotta show it, and you need to have some God in there. And that's my mindset. And if you don't, guess what? My place is full up there, and there's 150 beds. And it ain't gonna change when you get me, the next sheriff, the next sheriff, the next sheriff. We've gotta work on it at home, right there.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm learning a lot over these years and over this, I don't get my news off.
Is that a phone?
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't believe everything on that phone, but go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm learning that I learned like that our sheriff is our top law enforcement for we the people, and I thought that was, I just never thought about that. Cause I just want to say that, but what are your thoughts on that? We're gonna be seeing a lot of homelessness and stuff, you know, when you're bringing in millions across the border, and, do you have a plan for that or anything?
No, ma'am, I don't. I'm not gonna sit here and spew a bunch of stuff up. I don't. I take this stuff, you know, I try to look out in the future what I can deal with, but I have to deal with so much stuff that's right here, right now. You'll go through phases. For a while, all they'll do is drive around and steal trailers. I have to manipulate stuff to get people to figure out, and so all my resources figuring out who these knuckleheads are stealing trailers. 6 months later, they're not stealing trailers, then they're doing this. So I've got to move stuff as it's active. I don't have some deal in my mind, well, this is what we're gonna do for homeless. I'm kind of, you know, if there's something that happens there and I can help, I will. But honestly, that's probably gonna be a little bit different job than what you all hired me to do. So I don't have a plan right now, and I don't know that I'll have a plan in a year or two. I don't know what to do. I'm open-minded, but I gotta take care of these hammerheads that are stealing your stuff.
San Francisco, they're just.
Yeah, we ain't gonna be San Francisco, Mace County.
You've seen the news, I'm sure, San Francisco. That's terrible.
I don't watch much news anymore, ma'am. I'm kinda sick of it. I watch Andy Griffin and Gunsmoke and stuff like that. And I watch a little bit of weather, and about 5 minutes of that, and I'm sick of that. I'm just be honest with you. I'm a little old-fashioned, but it is what it is. So, yes, sir.
Is there any statutes or any laws going on to keep being out of women's bathrooms, or is that just public opinion, or fist upside the head?
That's a good question. Usually by the time we show up right now, and that it's taken care of. You know, and you just kind of,
Yeah.
you know, I think you probably know how I feel about it. I got 3 daughters, and y'all might not have to worry about electing a different sheriff if I catch one of mine, because I probably won't be sheriff because I'm thumping somebody's butt. I mean, I don't buy into that. Period. So I don't know of an exact state statute for that. I'm sorry, I don't. I haven't had that raised and said. Do you know of anything?
No.
I don't know anything.
Seems like
but
it's getting worse the other way.
I don't understand it. I don't, and I'm not gonna, I mean, you best stay away from my daughters. Well, I think if you look in the Bible, you go back and they had all that Sodom and Gomorrah. So I think that stuff still, it is what it is. Anyway, just, yes, ma'am. Oh, heck, I know you. Yes, ma'am.
I hope I can word this right to make sense, but in light of the political atmosphere, and we're seeing innocent citizens, now I'm not saying that
Seeing what?
innocent citizens, I'm not talking about Mays County right now, but we know that they have just funded armed IRS agents, and we see the FBI being politicized. How do you feel as far as protecting the Mays County citizens if that comes here?
I don't know.
I hope I made sense with what I'm trying to ask.
You know, I don't know that I can put that in a box for you. I can tell you what my core beliefs is. I'm not gonna stand down and just go, okay, y'all take over. I'm gonna do everything in my power to support the Constitution, Second Amendment, and what's right. I have had some pretty heated discussions with federal attorneys already over some of this stuff, just waiting on depositions in federal court, but there was like 5 of me. As long as I'm the sheriff, I'm not enforcing federal guidelines in that direction. They're not gonna come in here and run roughshod. It's obvious there is some state statute in place that a lot of people don't understand. And since 9/11, if before, the governor could not remove me from office. Since 9/11 took place, they changed the definition of an emergency. If the governor declares a state of emergency, so say we got a very liberal-minded governor, they claim a state of emergency, the feds come in helping him, and I don't cooperate, by statute, he can remove me temporarily from office. It has to be a hearing, it's either 30 or 60 days. But during that time, before 9/11, you couldn't do that. They changed that. So, they're gonna fight me, but
If that
you all don't
happens, call
realize.
me, I'll have you back.
Well, you'd be the first, because you didn't earlier. You was the first one to hit me wrong.
No, if that happens, call me, I'll have it back.
So there's things there that you don't know is in play. They're gonna earn it, that's all I can tell you.
So let's say an innocent person in the IRS comes in with armed agents.
With what?
With armed agents, would you come in and protect the citizens against that?
Well, if they're doing something illegal, I think sure will. But you do understand, the federal government could come in with an actual real warrant signed by a federal judge. So, you know, they could be a bank robbery coming across state lines, and if the person is here, you know, there is sometimes they have rights to do
I
some of that stuff.
understand that.
But if they're doing something outside of that, again, it's standing, understanding, they come with their warrant to my office, and we look it over, and we've even taken the time to go back and make sure that was a magistrate that we was familiar with, and it was a signed warrant, and what it was, and from there. That's happened 2 or 3 times, and it was all good stuff. And I worked real good with the FBI agents that I worked with out of Tulsa, and ATF and everything. The majority of the people in our little world around here, they're not as liberal-minded as you think. They're not. Even in Tulsa, law enforcement as a whole, 90% of them have the same mindset you all have and we have. But that is not what they cram down our throat on television and the radio and stuff. That's what you gotta remember. The military, I have family in the military, my son served overseas, it's the same way. They're like, who's gonna take the guns? We're not. They're the same way, they're gonna stand beside us and fight. I don't know a single FBI agent that I've dealt with that's like, yeah, we're gonna do this or that. They're like us, they can pound sand. So I think a lot of it's bull, but we'll do what we gotta do.
Do you, deal with the homelessness around here, or is that the city's?
The city does it, I mean, they could be somewhere just on the outskirts, it could be ours. We get a call on it, we do go lots of times, like down south there on the walkway, there's quite a few of them there, you know. So, have we dealt with them to some degree? Absolutely.
We've noticed within the city, the increase.
Yeah, and you need to understand something too. Not all those people are truly homeless. A lot of them are couch surfers. A lot of them go, they might be on drugs and they go spend the night at your house for a week, and then they go spend the night at his house for 2 or 3 days, then they go over here. They might, there's a lot of that going on. So you see them walking around like zombies, or they're passed out under a tree, but, they're really not the ones living down under the bridge. So, we have issues with them. We run into a deal just the other day. It was quite a little ordeal. It was a couple squatters, they was from California. Now I should explain some of it right there. Anyway. Yes, ma'am.
Are we seeing in Mays County many illegal aliens? Are you having to deal with that? Is our crime rate showing it?
I think there's always been a pretty good population of that. I mean, I think there's definitely probably gonna be more of a population now because they're coming over as fast as they can. I don't see it as necessarily, we're having to arrest more illegal daily. Those people, the biggest issue that I'm seeing with that is these marijuana grows, they're Asians, and they're all from this 2 or 3 businesses or whatever, so we've had a huge influx of that. And then you have a lot of those Asian people, for some reason, go down to the river and they like to hang out down there and fish and try to push you out of the way from your fishing hole. I mean, there's definitely some issues there. We haven't arrested, it's like, oh wow, now all we're doing is arresting these agents. I haven't seen that go up, honestly, but I definitely think there's an issue. I think they're coming and they're dope and they're doing their stuff and then they're squirting back out there, so I feel it. Yes, ma'am.
Do you see that we've had a decrease in the amount of illegal growers and problems dealing with the marijuana issues related to either legal or illegal, farms everywhere?
Did you say a decrease or increase?
Do we have either or a decrease? Are we seeing a decrease?
There's a decrease on the smaller, simpler mom and pop ones. And what happened was, when it first started, everybody, mom and pop, everybody running there and, you know, threw them up a little greenhouse and done it. And once they figured out there was a lot of money in it, the big money people got involved. So what they did, they're able to control that grow in a controlled environment completely. So they can produce a marijuana grade, let's say is a 10. You cannot produce that out here in your backyard or in a little old bitty greenhouse like this. You can't produce the same. So they're producing, their quality says a 6 or a 7. Well, when you can buy it for a 10, these people are only able to sell their 6 and 7 on the road to this guy, and this one over here, so they can't stay in business. So that part of the mom and pop, no offense guys, has lowered, but the big guys haven't. But the big guys aren't really selling it to our people on the street. They're shipping it out here illegally.
Illegally is
Oh
one.
yeah, absolutely.
I just didn't see it as absorbing that much marijuana in the same location.
We're not, it's not here. I mean, oh my gosh, no, absolutely not. But that's what, we dropped the ball on that boat. I mean, it's asinine. You really don't realize what all that did. It's not just marijuana. Let me give you an example of what was ear tagged on that. Okay, stay with me. But prior to that, you had drugs within so many feet of the schools, felony. Now, a teacher could be in there with just enough methamphetamine to do herself, stand beside a kid, misdemeanor. Get you some of that. You gotta have a certain amount of drugs for it's felony. Most of the people now I arrest that's got methamphetamine, it's a ticket, misdemeanor.
And was that changed through the legislature?
That was changed, it was earmarked with that 788 or what it was on your marijuana bill. They slid it right in there underneath us, is what they did. And it's all about money, which most are. So. Now you already threw a rock at me, you wait a minute, you can have.
This ain't a rock.
Well, that first one was, just a minute, you've heard anybody else?
Could I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Your deputies, do they patrol the whole county, or are they on a fixed route?
They are not on fixed route.
They're not.
They are not.
So they can come by my house sometimes?
You betcha. You want extra patrol?
Well,
You give me your address, or you can call up and tell you, I want extra patrol at this address. We have a board up there and we put it on it, and they gosh dang sure will do it.
they've already been to my house because I had a trailer stowed.
Okay.
And then, so I got to meet 3 of them, 4 of them, so.
Okay.
But I just wondering if that was.
No, sir. I do something with deputies that's never been done before. Seriously. And it was concern of mine before I was sheriff, and it was one of the #1 concerns I heard when I was talking to people. They never see a deputy. You might not buy this, but I can prove it to you. We put close to 50,000 miles a month on those patrol cars doing this. While you're at church or while you're gone to work. I can prove it. And I do that, and it costs a pretty good chunk, about $12,000 in gas a month. But I do that so they're out there and it deters it. That's when they need to be out there, is when we're going to work. When you're going to work. Or Sunday morning. And so I have them out there and they're all over the place.
Okay.
But you want extra patrol, you call Fair, we'll put you on the board and you'll get extra patrol.
Washington County and in Osage County a couple of years ago had a program that was a Citizens Academy. I don't know if you've heard about it. I went to it and went through the course. OK2A was involved with it, US Law Shield, and their part was explaining when you can use a firearm legally, when you can't, even had range time and all this. What it did was it helped the citizens know what they could and couldn't do legally and established a rapport. Would something like that work well?
I'll be glad to talk, and listen and anything like that. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm not familiar with it.
Okay.
It's not. It wasn't up
It
there.
really was good. It really worked well.
I mean, for me, sorry, catch in you. I know we're going along. I feel like doing this, even if you're aggravated. To me, this is what it's about. Hear you, listen to what you got to say, try to figure out if there's a problem with dropping the ball, try to fix it. But we are very, very careful at trying to do, okay, here's a problem, fix it. I'm not throwing stuff around, and I won't tolerate that. And if I have a knucklehead, he's either fired, arrested, or he's gone. Simple as that. So, I just feel like this one-on-one stuff's better than just, getting up here and telling you, well, do this with your guns, do that with your gun. I like close conversations. So, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, in your line of work, I'm curious, have you ever arrested the wrong people? Because there are so many juvenile people.
So many what, ma'am?
In your line of work, have you ever arrested the wrong people? Because there are so many people that are out there.
I arrested somebody once that the computer said he had a warrant. He told me he already took care of it the day before. And I said, well, I understand that, but you're going with me. I took him with me. I got him to jail. And I said, just sit right here. We're going to get this sorted out. He was a knucklehead anyway. He's been arrested about 20 times, so I was going to go off me. Found out after we got there that he had went there the day before and paid everything. So I turned around and took him back to his car. And said, do what you got to do. But this is why he understood. So other than that, I personally haven't, because there's a lot of identifiers you have to go through, to say, I need Joe Smith. So, yeah. Any other questions? I think he's
Last
flagging
call.
me down.
All right, thank you. Thanks, sir.
Is that it?
I appreciate